There have been many different execution methods deployed and used throughout history, and some of the most brutal were used by kings and queens and rulers to bring the life of someone to an end. The point of public execution was to make sure that other people would not commit crimes, and that they would be deterred from doing so. People inside of society often wanted to see the most suffering and brutal execution methods used. However, methods such as the guillotine were criticised due to the swift and efficient nature of the execution machine. The people preferred to see brutal methods such as hanging, drawing and quartering, which offered a slower and longer death and demise. But inside of some societies, impalement was used, in which someone was skewered on a post or a pole. But there was an execution machine created around this sort of execution. Welcome to the fortress. Today we look at the execution method of Gaunching, and to support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Impalement and impaling of a victim was brutal and ruthless, and it involved someone having their limbs or body penetrated with a spike of some sorts. But there were different variations of this. One example of this is a hook in the city wall, in which in the city of Algiers, embedded hooks in the walls saw people thrown onto them, which resulted in their slow and painful suffering death. But there was a machine known as a Gaunch, which aimed to impale a victim in a manner, and this was brutal. Joseph Piton de Tournefort, a French botanist, whilst on his travels in the Levant during the early 18th century, noticed an execution method known as a Gaunch or Gaunching. This was where someone was impaled across rather than up. With this execution machine, the condemned was hoisted up onto the device using a rope, and they were then released and dropped onto a number of hooks. The number of hooks on the device did vary, and if a fewer number of hooks entered the body, then the impaled person could last and survive a number of days. Of course, for severe criminals this could be repeated and repeated, meaning they would be dropped onto the hooks which would then enter the body, and then they were left for some time. In the decades earlier, another Frenchman saw this sort of practice being performed, and he claimed it was actually rarely used due to the fact it was so brutal and barbaric. People in a local area deemed the Gaunching as too cruel a method to be used. But in the 1570s another man witnessed Gaunching, and he stated that there was a large iron hook fixed to a crossbar of a gallows that ran horizontal, and that the condemned was forced upon the hook, and that the sharp metal hook would then pierce him through the abdomen and through the back when released. This led to the condemned hanging from the hook, hands, feet and head downwards. On top of the crossbar the executioner also stood, and he could perform different torture on the victim. Gaunching was a rare and brutal execution method that dropped someone on a hook, which they were then impaled from. It was a ruthless practice, and one that would result in the slow and suffering death of the victim. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.